Oh joy, it's time to talk about the Rings of Power. Let's get this over with, folks. The Rings of Power. Probably one of the most boring TV shows I've had to endure in recent history. I have to tell you that I am no Tolkien expert. I'm a complete normie and noob when it comes to J.R.R. Tolkien and his work. For the most part, all I've done is I've watched the movies, which I did enjoy. Quite a bit, actually. But I am by no means an expert on the lore, and quite frankly, I don't own any of the books. I've only watched the movies. So my relationship with the source material is casual at best. So that's the perspective I'm taking when it comes to reviewing this TV show. So I can't go and point out what the showrunners have gone and fucked up and how they're going and sliding Tolkien, because I simply just don't know. On that note, so how bad was it? Pretty fucking bad, actually. This show was incredibly boring. And I literally felt every single second of the first 2 episodes. Now 3 because my computer decided to go explodey on me, but that's besides the point. And needless to say, the 3rd episode was not an improvement. And I don't see this show getting any better. I was like 15 minutes into the 1st episode and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, this show's never gonna end. And when it finally did, I was like, oh thank you sweet Jesus, you put an end to my suffering. Finally. If there was a hell, it would be watching this show on repeat for all eternity. And it was only an hour and 4 minutes. And that's just the 1st episode. Don't even get me started on the 2nd one. It's even worse. I literally got 10 minutes in episode 2 and had to stop. You can only endure so much of your life draining away before you're like, I gotta go do something else for a while. Like maybe get some sleep. Now, I've watched a lot of bad TV shows. Like literally everything that's been on Disney Plus, with the exception of Ms. Marvel. And I have to say that this show is devoid of any kind of charm or entertainment value. I was literally fighting myself trying to pay attention because I was wanting to go and do other things, like go do my taxes. That's how bad the show is. Literally, the only reason why I watched both episodes is because of my obligation to Friday Night Tights. Because let me tell you, I would have stopped watching after the first 15 minutes of episode 1 because I really didn't want to waste my time. But I did. You're welcome, Gary. And thank God I wasn't stuck in some theater for 2 hours and 8 minutes having to endure this crap. Because I'm pretty sure I would have gone and stepped out to go take a piss and never come back. At least with She-Hulk, there's something for me to latch on and make fun of. Because that show's bad decisions is funny and entertaining. Where with the Rings of Power, its bad decisions are dull and boring and sucks the very life out of you. The writing is abysmal and the majority of the acting is atrocious. It's literally a giant black hole sucking the fun out of the universe. So, why is this show so bad? Well, for starters, Unlikable female protagonist. This show has more resting bitch face than a cat adoption event for a bunch of feminists with no personality, which is basically Galadriel in the show. This version is a far cry from Cate Blanchett's version from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, and that's pretty sad. And the thing that only makes it worse is I can't tell if this is because of bad direction or if Mumford & Son simply just doesn't have a personality. Or know how to act for that matter. It's probably a little bit of column A and column B. Now, that doesn't mean a character has to be likable, but you have to make something relatable about them. Something that the audience can connect to and relate to their struggle or why they act the way they do. If you don't do that, your character just comes off as an asshole for no apparent reason, which is what is happening with Galadriel. She is literally See You Next Tuesday the character. Clearly a role model for future generations of young girls. And the problem doesn't just stop at Galadriel. I find all the characters in this show, with the exception of Disa, to be boring, lackluster, and uninteresting. At least Disa comes off as being a human being. Who would have thunk that the Dorito Queen would have been the most charming character in the series? Not I, but she is. Reason number 2 why this show is awful. There is no plot. Just a bunch of interconnected, meandering scenes. We're on episode 3 at this point, and I still can't tell you what the hell is supposed to be going on. I'll be honest with you, at least She-Hulk follows a basic story structure. There's an A story and a B story. It actually does have a plot. It's just not very good. With Rings of Power, it just feels more like character events, because I'm sure as hell not gonna call them stories. It's just things that happen. You have Galadriel's character events, you have Elrond's character events, you have Don Lemon Unchained character events, and then the Harfoots. Excuse me, they're hobbits. Harfoots are hobbits. That much I know. Now, a really good example of a movie that has multiple stories that go and intersect at the end is the movie Snatch. At the beginning of the movie, there is a single event that sets everything in motion, that draws all the characters in with their own side stories. And again, like I said, everything goes and intersects at the end of the movie. So everything comes full circle. Nothing comes off as a waste of space. Now, I think this is what Rings of Power is trying to do. I honestly don't see them being able to pull it off. We're at this point 3 episodes in, and I have no fucking clue what the hell's going on or where they're going with the story. It worked for Snatch because all the separate stories built on top of each other, telling a cohesive narrative. Issue number 3, intersectionality. Now, I would say that intersectionality is probably the least of the show's worries because of the other 2 problems I just pointed out, but I don't think that's the case. This is probably the root cause of why we have unlikable female protagonists, uninteresting characters, and boring meandering scenes. Remember, folks, there's rules to storytelling now that have to be abided by. And just like with She-Hulk, men are portrayed one of 3 ways: duplicitous asshole, incompetent moron, potential sexual predator. Now, there's a lot more I could probably go and break down, but it would probably take me a week to go and decipher and then go and record everything. Quite frankly, I just don't have that kind of time or interest in the show. And obviously, the heart of all of its problems is it's simply just not Tolkien. And if you're actually a fan of Tolkien, I'm sorry for what was done to your source material. And if you're a fan of this TV show, I'm sorry you have no taste. On a side note, I know that Europe is facing an energy crisis, with the war in Ukraine and whatnot. And because this TV show is a complete bastardization of Tolkien's work, he's probably spitting in his grave. And I'm surprised that no one has come up with the idea of hooking him up to a generator, because I'm pretty sure his spitting course would power Europe for the next 10 years. If I had to sum up the first 2 episodes of the Rings of Power in one sentence, it would be, please God, kill me now. Put me out of my misery before my eyes melt out of my skull. I know that's more than one sentence, leave me alone. I'm suffering here for your entertainment. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Go play in traffic or something.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. A huge thanks to all the Subscribe Star supporters. Without you, Comix Division would probably be crying in a corner somewhere. Well, hello there, big spender. HMStix, Reuben Christopher Haynes, IMAV, Roger the Shrubber, and Toxic Man Flu. I'm a sucker with a lot of dough. Zelashi, Blair de Blair, Crazy Catguy, and DJ.O. Take my money, damn it! Katina Martin, Brahmabull, Commander Ed STRAKER of Shadow, TerminusEst, Elagabalus, DariusM, Salty Texas C, LDH27513, Subscriber number 22F2C6C3, gentlemanmad, J.A.F.O, Dethangels Shadow, Dexidoodle, Mech AG94, That 70Srockfan, AJ Speaks, Pope Metallicus I, E. Clay, Peter Bickford, Billy Go Boom, nogreenrocks, Digital Remnant, Just Another Red Shirt, Joe's Atmosphere, and Mrs. Flu. I'll buy that for $1. Captain Trek, TZ Canadian, Chris from the 80s, Stand 4, Colin Douglas, Mr. Tickletrunk, Jenna Lynn, and user C32A7350. Thank you all for watching. You are awesome!